Your friend texts you at midnight, crying about their relationship again. You know the one, the person who texts them just enough to keep them hoping, but never enough to actually commit. You've heard this story 17 times now. You spend 90 minutes on the phone, walking them through exactly what they need to do. You're brilliant. You break down the psychology of breadcrumbing. You explain how intermittent reinforcement creates addiction. You draw them a map, step by step, block them, delete the number, feel the pain for 2 weeks. Then you'll be free. They're quiet for a moment, and then they say, "Oh my God, you're right. How do you always know exactly what to say? I don't know what I'd do without you." You hang up. You feel that little dopamine hit, that warm feeling of being useful, of being needed. And then you open Instagram, and you scroll to their profile, the person who ghosted you 3 months ago, the person who watches all your stories but never replies, the person you know is breadcrumbing you. And you stare at their photos, wondering if they're thinking about you, wondering if you should text them, wondering if this time will be different. And suddenly, the surgeon realizes they can operate on everyone except themselves. If this is you, I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you're not a hypocrite. Today, we're going to decode why you can see everyone's problems with perfect clarity, but when it comes to your own life, you're completely blind. We'll look at the neuroscience of distance. I'm going to give you 5 tips to access your own advice, because the wisdom is already in you. You just need to learn how to access it. Let's start by looking at your daily contradictions, because I know you recognize these patterns. You tell people to set boundaries while you say yes to everything. You preach know your worth while accepting breadcrumbs in your own relationships. You coach others on self-care while running on 3 hours of sleep and forgetting to eat lunch. You tell them it's okay to ask for help, and then you suffer completely alone. You see the red flags in their stories with perfect clarity, but you somehow miss the identical ones waving right in front of your face. Here's what this looks like in real life. You write a 2,000-word thoughtful response to someone's problem on Reddit at 2 in the morning. You cite studies. You give them a 3-step action plan. Then you close the tab and do absolutely nothing about your own identical problem sitting right there in your life. Your friends call you their therapist friend, while you haven't been to actual therapy in 6 months because you keep canceling appointments. You give TED Talk level pep talks in the group chat about believing in yourself and taking risks. Then you doom scroll for 4 hours instead of applying any of it to your own situation. And here's where the shame comes in. You start asking yourself, if I'm so smart, why is my life such a mess? I'm a hypocrite. How can I help others when I can't even help myself? Maybe I'm just good at theory, not practice. What if I'm actually a fraud? But here's what you need to understand. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it Solomon's paradox. King Solomon, the wisest man in the world, could solve everyone's problems except his own. Why? Because when you analyze someone else's situation, you have distance. Your prefrontal cortex, the logical thinking part of your brain, is fully online. You can see patterns. You think rationally. You're calm. But when it's your life, your amygdala hijacks the entire system. You're inside the hurricane. You can't see the shape of the storm because you are the storm. You're not observing the problem from a distance. You're drowning in it. Think of it like this. When your friend is in a toxic relationship, you see it from 10,000 feet above. The pattern is obvious. They breadcrumb you, you chase, they withdraw, repeat. It's a cycle. But when you're in it, you're on the ground, in the fog. Every moment feels unique. Every text feels different this time. You can't see the pattern because you're standing inside the pixels of the image. You need to step back to see what it actually is, but you can't step back because you're living it. Here's the neuroscience trap that nobody talks about. Giving advice releases dopamine. You feel useful, competent, needed. Your brain gets a hit of, I have value in this world. But taking your own advice, that requires pain first. Discomfort, change, uncertainty. Your brain says, why would I choose pain when I can get dopamine just from talking about solutions? You become addicted to the feeling of being wise without ever doing the work of actually being wise. You're consuming wisdom like it's entertainment, but you're not implementing any of it. And there's one more layer to this. When you give advice, the spotlight is on them, their mess, their choices, their life. But when you take your own advice, the spotlight turns on you. And suddenly you have to admit things you've been avoiding. I'm not where I should be. I've been lying to myself. I'm scared. Helping others lets you hide from yourself. It's a perfect disguise. You look productive, helpful, valuable, while completely avoiding the fact that your own life is falling apart. But here's what I need you to understand. You're not a hypocrite, you're not broken, and you're definitely not simply weak. Here's the part that might surprise you. The fact that you can see clearly for others means you have the capacity for wisdom. It's in you. It's not missing. It's just being blocked by proximity and fear. You're like a world-class translator who can speak 10 languages fluently, but freezes when asked to translate their own diary. Not because they can't, but because the content is too close, too personal, too real. Your advice-giving ability, that's proof you have deep pattern recognition. That's proof you understand human psychology at a level most people never reach. That's proof you're more perceptive than the average person walking around. But here's the beautiful part. Every time you've helped someone else, you were actually writing the manual for your own life. You've been building a library of truth that you can now access. You're not starting from zero. You're standing on top of a mountain of your own wisdom. You just need to turn around and look down at the path you already mapped. And can we talk about something else for a second? The fact that you keep helping others even while your own life is a mess? That's not hypocrisy. That's heroic. Most people can't see past their own pain. But you're drowning and you're still throwing life jackets. You're the person who shows up for others when you can barely show up for yourself. That's not weakness. That's a specific kind of strength that most people don't have. You have the ability to compartmentalize your pain and still access your wisdom for someone else's benefit. Do you know how rare that is? The world is full of people who can only think about themselves when they're struggling. You're built different. You can hold space for others while your own space is falling apart. Now imagine what would happen if you gave yourself even half the compassion you give to strangers, if you treated yourself like you were someone you loved. You already have the wisdom. You already have the strength. You've been using it for others. Now it's time to turn that light inward, not because you're broken, but because you deserve the same quality of care you've been giving away for free. So let's talk about how to actually do this. I'm going to give you 5 tips to access your own advice. Tool number 1 is the third-person audit. Write your problem like it's someone else's. Don't write, I don't know if I should quit my job. Write, my friend works 60 hours a week, gets yelled at by their boss, cries every Sunday night, makes $45,000 in an expensive city, and keeps saying it'll get better. What should they do? Now read it. What would you tell them? That's your answer. This simple shift creates the distance your brain needs to think clearly. Tool number 2, the advice inventory. Make a list of the top 5 pieces of advice you give most often. Examples might be, you deserve better. Actions speak louder than words. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. If they wanted to, they would. Stop waiting for permission. Now ask yourself, which of these am I violating in my own life right now? That's your starting point. You already know what you need to do. Tool number 3 is the friend test. When you're stuck in your own mess and you can't see clearly, ask yourself this one question. If my best friend was in this exact situation and came to me for advice, what would I tell them to do? Then do that, even if it's terrifying, even if you're not ready, even if you want to wait. You already know what to do. You're just hoping the answer will change. Tool number 4, the recorded advice hack. This sounds weird, but it works. Next time you give someone advice, record yourself. Use a voice memo, whatever. A week later, listen to it. Pretend you're hearing it for the first time. Your own voice, telling you exactly what you need to hear. It bypasses the emotional proximity because it sounds like external wisdom, even though it came from you. And finally, tool number 5, the accountability mirror. You can't be your own therapist, but you can't borrow someone else's distance. Find one person who knows you well, isn't afraid to call you out, and you actually respect. Tell them, I need you to throw my own advice back at me when you see me violating it. Give them permission to be blunt. Example, you say, I don't know what to do about this situationship. They say, what would you tell me if I said that? You say, I'd tell you to block them and move on. They say, cool, so do that. You need someone to be the mirror when you're too close to see your own reflection. Listen, the fact that you can see clearly for others means the wisdom is in you. It's not missing. It's just hiding. You don't need new answers. You need new distance. So step back. Pretend you're advising a stranger. And listen to the voice you've been ignoring. The surgeon can operate on themselves. They just need to step outside their own body first. You already know what to do. Now do it.